Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Tim Sohn with Sohn Social Media Solutions, and I'm here with my co-host, Jim Fuse of... Take
Fusion
away, Jim.
Marketing. And I want to welcome our guest, Maria Semple of the Prospect Finder, who's going to talk to us today about a subject that everyone's always asking about, wondering about: email marketing. We're delighted to have Maria join us today. Not only is Maria a constant contact expert and certified trainer, she's also an author of a book, Magnify Your Business. So Maria, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, great. Thank you again for inviting me to your show. And I have been helping small businesses and nonprofits since the early 90s. And I was originally based for a very long time in central New Jersey. And over the summer of 2018, I moved to North Carolina. Unfortunately, right before the hurricane, but everybody gets back to business, back to work. So I'm delighted to be here and helping the small businesses here in Carteret County.
Awesome. So Tim, would you like to start out with our first question for today?
Absolutely, absolutely. So there's so many things out there now with social media and digital marketing, and there's so many different email platforms. Is email relevant today? I'm assuming it is because this is what you do.
Mm-hmm.
But also with chatbots out there, just talk to us. Is email still relevant in this world of total chaos when it comes to digital marketing?
Yes. So, absolutely. It's actually got one of the highest returns on investment that you can have for your marketing dollars. I've seen statistics. I mean, you can Google the stats, but it ranges from the high 30s to the mid 40s for every dollar you spend. That is the return that you can have on your email, on your marketing. So it is great. And, when you think about what is that one app that all of us are checking how many times a day, right? It's your email app out of all the apps on your phone. So, you might be going to Facebook in the morning or midday or evening, maybe to engage with friends and family. You might be on LinkedIn in the middle of the workday, engaging with other business colleagues and so forth. But, email, and I would venture to guess that even some of the people watching this broadcast today are going to be having their smartphone nearby and probably checking their email at least once or twice in the next 30 minutes. So it's still very, very relevant, but you have to be targeted in how you use it.
And so, Maria, I guess kind of a two-part question. How do we target people using email marketing? And the other part, I guess I would ask is, can you talk to us about the type of return on investment that business owners see when they use email marketing?
Yeah, so as I said, it's in the high 30s, mid 40s for every dollar you spend on email marketing. That's your return. And some people will say to me, well, what is the true value of building my list? Why do I need to bother doing that? And here's the bottom line. When I'm teaching my seminars and webinars, this is what I tell people. Think about the size of your list, whatever that size may be. If it's 10 people, 20 people, 5,000 people, whatever it is, and multiply that by your average price point for your product or service. Or if you're a nonprofit organization listening today, think about your average donation size. All right, so take that average dollar amount and multiply it by the size of your list. And that is the value of your list. That's why you never want to share your list with other organizations, right? So even though the three of us, as we have three separate businesses, we would never share our lists with one another. We would individually promote this show to our own list, for example, but we're not going to just copy and paste and send an Excel spreadsheet of all those names out to one another. So you do want to be sure that you are protecting your list and always growing your list. Yep.
So Maria, could you talk a little bit in terms of how can people grow their email list in an organic way and in a compliant way.
Right. So compliant. I'm glad you said that. This is about permission-based marketing. So typically, people will call me and say, Maria, I need to buy a list from you and start my constant contact account, or I just bought a list, or I rented a list from a list broker and I want to use my constant contact account. And the first thing I have to do is put on the brakes. I usually have to make sure they understand that this is considered spamming, and there are laws in place, believe it or not, in the United States, the CAN-SPAM Act. There are even stricter laws in Canada and Europe. So if anybody listening today has folks on their list in Canada or Europe, you want to make sure you're staying compliant with their laws and grow your list organically. So how can you do that? Through your website. Make sure you have a sign-up link. Give something away of value, and people will leave their email address. If you're doing events, make sure that you're collecting those email addresses. If you're just doing networking, as Jim and I were met through a local business roundtable, for example, you're out there and you're networking and you're meeting people, you can easily use a product like Constant Contact to just ask people to join your list by texting in your email address, which is really cool. Great for me as a speaker, for example. So I can tell people at the end of my presentation, if you'd like to get more information from me or more tips or understand where else I'm speaking, simply text the word prospect to the number 22828, and then that starts the ball rolling. They can text in their email address. I haven't had to do a thing. They've added themselves to my list.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. So now that you've got them on your list, Maria, how do you keep them engaged? What is some of those key points for? I'm brand new to email marketing. I've got my list of people from my last speaking event. How do I keep them engaged so that they'll read my emails in the future?
Right. So you want to kind of stick to a regular schedule if you can. I usually will recommend to people, if they've never done any type of email marketing, to start out at once a month. And while you're doing that, you want to think about offering something of value to people and not always be in a selling mode. So you think about the 80-20 rule in life, and it applies really here as well. So if 80% of the time you're offering great tips, information, education, how-to videos or how-to tutorials or whatever it may be, they're going to tolerate 20% of selling from you. So people love to buy, but they hate to be sold to, and people can definitely tell the difference.
Those are really good points, Maria. What are some important metrics that people should follow? And before we continue, I just want to thank you all for watching the show, for those who are watching, and encourage you guys to leave any comments down below and hit the share button so you can share this valuable information with your friends. But go ahead, Maria, on what metrics are important when it comes to email marketing.
So that's the beauty of using it, is that you get tools that are measuring your marketing. So you'll know how many opens you got. Not only that, but you will know exactly who opened your email and what time they opened your email. You'll know who clicked on particular links or photos or videos that you have embedded in your email. So those give you great metrics. And then you get, the other typical metrics that are taken care of for you, your unsubscribes. So folks who unsubscribe, you won't need to manually go in and do anything else. They will discontinue from receiving your email marketing. And then some of the other metrics you want to think about is, looking at the unsubscribe rate, and if it all of a sudden spikes, you want to think about, well, what am I doing wrong? Did people leave a reason? Am I emailing too often? That's typically a really good reason why people will unsubscribe. So you want to be careful of that. And you want to make sure that you keep your spam rate very low. So what I mean by that is, instead of simply unsubscribing, if someone in their, let's say they're receiving in their Gmail account, that's where they're getting your email sent. If they hit the spam button, this email is a spam. That gets tracked all the way back to Constant Contact, for example, if that's who you're using for your email marketing. And they have a very low tolerance rate for spam. So if they all of a sudden see your spam rate spike up, your account would typically get frozen until you have a discussion with someone. And that's big reason why I tell people not to buy or rent a list, because that will increase your spam rate and could freeze your account.
And I was actually able to create a poll for those of you that are currently viewing live. If you'd like to let us know, do you use email marketing? You'll see that it's sitting there on the screen. We were talking about this before the show. Could we do a poll and be live? And you can. So that's a neat new feature. So what do you think, Maria, are some of the trends that you see right now in the email marketing space? And I mean, you mentioned like the texting, I think, which is a great idea. But what are some of the trends you see down the road? I mean, as far as like, you see these things, like I think it's called bonbon, but how are we going to bring in quote unquote video content into our email marketing in a positive way?
So, and basically any email that you create, you can put in and you can house somewhere online. I typically recommend YouTube because they are owned by Google. So that's a great place to house your video content. In fact, I'm in the process of creating some really short 3 to 5 minute video tips that are all going to be there. So I will be promoting them through my email marketing. So like with Constant Contact, you simply just insert the email right into the middle of the into your middle of your email, and what'll happen is that the video itself is housed on YouTube. So when they click on that video, they're taken to YouTube to view the video. So that's a really great way. People are loving video. Those get a very high click-through rate. Photos get the next highest click rate as well. So make sure that you are using some engaging photos, whether they're taken by you or you're using permission-based stock photography. And, another tip I would offer, you asked about, trends. And I think just understanding all the tools that are available to further segment your list, right? So, for example, let's say you're a pet store owner and, there are going to be the majority of the folks coming into your store, maybe cat owners, dog owners, or, other, right? So you can have various classifications. So if you have a sale going on or a special event going on for dog owners, for example, and you don't want to necessarily annoy all your cat owners with that particular offer, you can make sure that your lists are segmented in such a way that just the dog owners are going to get that particular invite or promo. And this is also going to help you have a better retention rate for your lists as well, because folks won't be opting out feeling like you're not speaking to them. One of the really cool things that Constant Contact came out with is called click segmentation. So imagine this: you've got somebody brand new that comes into, let's continue with the pet store. A new customer comes into your pet store. They can sign up maybe using that text to join feature, right? You can have some signage right there near your register or in the store. Or maybe they sign up through a list that you've got sitting near the register, and they check off whether they're a cat owner or a dog owner. So you send out the welcome email to them, welcoming them to your list. And in that, you might have a built-in, because they're segmented directly into, or I should say, in that initial email that you send them to welcome them, you can have an extra click in there. Tell us more about you. Are you a dog owner? Are you a cat owner? And once they've done that click, now they can be placed into what we call an autoresponder series, an automated series of emails that can go out based on them being dog owners. So tips for caring for your dog and, things like that. So automating your email marketing, even based on an action they took on a different email you sent them, a click segmentation, can set off a whole other series of emails. So it's great.
Wow, that's amazing.
Maria, could you talk a little bit in terms of when somebody's selecting which email software to use? I know you are a constant contact professional, or whatever you want, partner, whatever you want to call it. What is the official wording?
Solution provider. I'm a certified solution provider.
Certified solution provider. There you go. I like that. What are some factors people should consider when picking an email solution, software?
Well, I think, making sure that you understand how to use it and it's very easy to use. And I usually will say to people, especially when they're new at this, make sure you've got good customer support. And that happens to be one of the areas that Constant Contact was great in. It was the platform I selected years ago for my own business, and I've never wavered from it because their customer support is amazing. Typically, right after you sign up for your free trial account, you get a free coach that calls you from corporate and wants to know, is there anything we can do to help you with your business? What questions do you have? They've got a plethora of videos and how-tos and manuals and so forth. And in terms of ongoing support, you can call them and you can chat with them online, or you can email them for support. So I know that there are a lot of free solutions out there. Typically, those will only end up being email support. So if you're in the middle of constructing an email and you're having trouble, I don't know, you're unclear about how to resize a photo or move that photo around within the email, you kind of want that instant gratification and be able to call someone and say, hey, I'm having trouble doing this. Can you walk me through it?
Right.
Yeah, sure.
And Maria, do you, since it is the holiday season, do you have any special offers from Constant Contact right now that you might want to share with our audience?
Yeah, actually, if you go to start your email marketing using the bit.ly link that I'm about to give you, and so bit.ly links are shortened links. So if you go to bit.ly/email today, and you can make sure the E is capitalized and the T is capitalized. So bit.ly/email today. And if you start your account there, I will know that you've started that account, and I can email you if there's a special promo code. There happens to be one right now. I believe the promo is 25% off of 3 months. So if you want to do that, I'd be glad to send you that promo code. And it changes. That's why I know this is sort of a video that's going to live on for a while. So I don't want to put that promo code out there because it will change sometimes even on a monthly basis.
Great. Tim, are you putting that in the show notes? You look like you were typing.
No, I wasn't typing.
So Maria, if you want to add that to the comments after the show, that would be great. And then people can, feel free to do that. So, Maria, tell us a little bit about your book. I really found it to be a good book. Tell us about your book as well.
So I wrote my book and published it 3 years ago now. And the reason why I did it was after, teaching various seminars and people coming up to me afterward and saying, wow, that was great. I wrote down so many tips and different ways of doing things. Have you ever thought about writing a book? And, after about the 10th person says that to you, you think, well, maybe I ought to take this a little bit more seriously and get a book out there. So I hesitated because the type, some of the things that I have in my book are not really evergreen. They change, right? So even some things around email marketing have changed since in the last 3 years. All that segmentation I just talked about in terms of the click segmentation and the autoresponders have really ramped up, even in the last 3 years. But a lot of the other tips are much more evergreen. Tips for networking, tips for prospecting for new business, using your library card to do a lot of prospecting research because there are so many databases available for free through your library that would be very expensive for you to try and purchase as a small business owner. So I'm a huge proponent of using local libraries for sure. So, tips like that and growing your tribe. While we're talking about digital marketing and so forth, your digital ambassadors are people that you want to be continually growing. So yeah, you want to get out to the local events that are going on in your community, your chamber events and so forth, and shaking hands and greeting people. But you want to think about who are some of those folks online who would be more than happy to help spread the word about something you have going on at your business or a promo or an event. So your digital ambassadors, your tribe, your digital tribe, really important.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Maria, could you tell people where they can connect with you, website, social media, etc.?
Sure, absolutely. So my website is theprospectfinder.com. And then you can find me on LinkedIn, Maria Semple, and you can find me on Facebook and on Twitter. So for sure, all of those places, and go to my website, you'll be able to connect to them all directly from there.
Awesome. And Maria, I know I was able to attend one of your LinkedIn seminars recently. So, we would love to have you back again, maybe in a few months, you can give us some of your LinkedIn tips as well. And because I think, one of the things we really want to do here with the Tim and Jim show is really expose small business owners to all the different tools that are out there to help them grow their business. So I think this has been terrific today. Tim, did you have any final thoughts?
I just want to thank you so much for being on the show. It's great to connect with you, and looking forward to learning more in the future from you.
Great. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Thanks, Maria. And thank everybody for coming out today. For those of you that are thinking about 2019, next week, we're going to have Deb Eckerling, who runs a Twitter chat called Goal Chat, and she's going to talk about the Deb method and how you can get yourself prepared to set those goals to get your business running in 2019. Thanks, Tim. Thanks, Maria. And we'll see everybody next week on the internet.
Thanks, guys. Bye.